Okay, so last section, we're going to actually spend 3 days on this section because there's an algebra component that I need to teach you. But so it's circles in coordinate plane. So it's basically graphing circles, which actually is really easy. So we have the formula for a circle. So it's kind of like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's similar like to that. So the h and k is the center of the circle. And then I think pretty obviously r is the radius. So some of the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, today's assignment is all going to be writing an equation of the circle, just given different information. Okay, so the most straightforward one would be just essentially here's the center and here's the radius. So if it said that the center was 2, -4, and the radius was 5. So it's literally just a matter of plugging the information into the problem. The only tricky part is the minus signs in the equation. So that minus sign needs to be there, and then the x part is the 2, or the h is the 2. And so on the second one, I have the minus from the formula, but then I also have the minus from the number. So 2 negatives make a positive. And then it's radius squared. So I don't leave it like that. I actually want to do 5 squared. And there's the equation of the circle. So what you want to there's a few different formulas for different things that we graph mathematically. And so when we have formulas that have this minus stuff, which is actually quite a bit, and negative means opposite. And so you're going to see the opposite of what you have in the problem. So if you look at, it gave you the number of 2 for the x part. Well, the opposite is -2. And it gave you -4 for the y part, or the k, and what you see is opposite. That has to happen every time. Okay? So what you see is the opposite. There is just one small exception. So if I had this, so I'd have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 3 squared. So I see there's 3, I see -3, so I see the opposite. Radius squared. So when you have this 0, you don't need to write it. Okay, there's nothing there. Yeah, x minus 0 is just x. So that is the simplest form, not the x minus 0. So the only time you don't see the opposite is when you have 0 as part of your center. So if you had 0, 0 at the center, it started at the origin, then you would just have x squared plus y squared, and then whatever the radius squared. Okay? All right, so then you'll have two problems where there's a graph. So you'll need to just look at the graph and say, okay, here's the coordinates, so that's the center. And then you'll have 4 problems where it says, here's the center, here's the radius. So similar to like what I did. They're telling you the radius and the center on the other ones. You just have to look at the graph to figure it out. Okay, so then the second kind of problem that you're going to see, you're still writing the equation, but it's giving you different information. So it's going to say negative 5, 6 is on the circle, and negative 1, oops, that's 3, negative 1, 3 is the center. So I can write the equation, I just don't know the radius. So that's what I need to figure out. Okay, and so basically, if you look at a graph, oh, I should have done it the other way. So negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that point right there, negative 5, 6 is on the circle. And then negative 1, 3 is the center. So if you kind of picture, you know, I've got this like circle, you know, something like that, obviously. Does it make sense that that is a radius? Okay, and so I'm going to erase like some of this stuff over here. So if that's a radius, and I can figure out how long that is, then I can use the center and the radius. So what I'm going to do is create a right triangle. And I can just count the spaces. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is up 1, 2, 3. And so if you remember, here's kind of a triangle thing, kind of coming back a little bit. But if you remember, one of those, the most common Pythagorean triple is 3, 4, 5. As long as the 5 is the length or the hypotenuse, 3, 4, 5 like works. If you didn't remember that, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals, and I'll put r squared because that's what we're trying to find, 9 plus 16, 25, and then when we do the square root, r is 5. Okay, so now I can use the r is 5, and I have the center over there. So when I plug it into the formula, remember it's x minus, and then the x part is negative 1, so that becomes plus 1. Remember, you want to see the opposite, so negative 1, I see positive 1. Y minus 3, I see, the 3 is what it told me, I see negative 3, so I want to see the opposite. And then the radius squared is 25. Okay, so you're going to have, it looks like 1, 2, 3 of those. Okay. And then one of them, they write an equation and they do something wrong. You got to figure it out. Okay. All right. So that's all for today. Tomorrow we're going to do an algebra thing that you'll need to use for the latter part of the assignment. And then we'll do the second part of the section with that algebra thing like after that. So, okay. All right. That's all I got. Those should be fairly straightforward problems today. Hopefully you agree. So have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.